In the business of entertainment, the peak of success is never sustainable long term. Now, that does not mean that once you've peaked, you won't remain successful, but that peak, that high point that you reach, when everything that you do turns to gold, it's simply not sustainable. What goes up must always come down. Take professional wrestling, for example. With the advent of cable television, professional wrestling surged in popularity in the mid 1980s. The industry, they experienced a decline in the early to mid 90s, and then they took off again in the late 90s. It's been over 20 years now, and the wrestling business has never been able to climb back to the top of the mountain. You guys remember the show Home Improvement? First 4 seasons of that show, they ranked in the top 4, averaging between 35 million viewers per episode. The last 4 seasons, they experienced a decline in ratings every year. By the time they reached the final season, Home Improvement had half the audience they had at their peak. Now, there are exceptions to the rule. Both Friends and Seinfeld, they were steady in the ratings from start to finish. But for the most part, in the entertainment industry, the formula is pretty consistent. You have your gradual rise, you reach the peak, then experience the eventual decline. I can give you example after example of this happening. Howard Stern peaked in the 90s and 2000s, eventually fell off the mainstream radar. Opie and Anthony, Rachel Maddow, boy bands. You remember that shit? Backstreet Boys, NSYNC? The rapid rise and fall, it's especially prevalent in the music industry. Sometimes, though, once something has reached its peak in popularity and has settled back to its core audience, they can stumble across a star, or in this case, a team, that can push them back into mainstream popularity. The NBA. The NBA reached its peak in popularity in the 90s behind the star power of Michael Jordan. 1993 NBA Finals, they were averaging over 27 million viewers. The next year, Jordan's in Birmingham playing baseball, they averaged 17 million. The 98 NBA Finals, it still holds the record for the most watched series in league history. Nearly 30 million viewers, with Game 6 hitting 36 million, the most watched game in the history of the NBA. They haven't had a game come close to hitting that mark since. From 1999 to 2014, the NBA didn't come close to even hitting 20 million for the NBA Finals. The only time they had a chance was 2001 when the Lakers played Allen Iverson. It was 5-on-1 that series. The Lakers were loaded. Kobe, Shaq, Ron Harper, Derek Fisher, Robert Horry, Rick Fox. Hell, their bench was better than the Sixers' fucking starting lineup outside of Allen Iverson. The Sixers, they had Eric Snow as their second captain. Eric Snow. That's how shitty that team was. Allen Iverson carried this team to the finals. That season was the peak of his career in terms of mainstream drawing power. The 2001 NBA Finals averaged 19 million viewers. That was the last time the NBA would even come relatively close to reaching Michael Jordan level viewership. That is, until 2015. The NBA was gifted the golden goose in Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. A golden goose they refused to take advantage of. Instead of marketing the league around Curry, Adam Silver relentlessly promoted LeBron James. When we look back at this, 10 years from now, this will go down as one of the worst mistakes in the history of the NBA. Steph Curry has always been a bigger draw than LeBron James. 2 of the least watched finals in NBA history both featured LeBron James. During LeBron's peak of drawing power from 2011 to 2013, he was averaging around 17 million for the NBA Finals. Enter Steph Curry and the Warriors in 2015, and for the next 3 years, the NBA averaged 20 million for the finals. But KC, the credit should go to LeBron. He was involved in all 3 series. No, the credit goes to Steph Curry. If LeBron could draw, he would have drawn in 2007 against the Spurs. That series set an NBA record for the least watched finals, only to be broken by LeBron James again in 2020. Steph Curry and the Warriors were the reason for the NBA's resurgence in popularity. They were the reason the league was seeing numbers they hadn't seen since the Jordan era of the 90s. Going into the finals this year, The mainstream media was expecting a resurgence for the NBA. May 26th, headline at The Athletic: Warriors are NBA ratings gold. They published an article explaining why the Warriors were going to increase ratings for the NBA Finals. Hell, even I thought this was going to be the case. I've been making the case for years now. The Warriors were the number one draw in the NBA. Of the 15 most watched regular season games this year, 7 featured Steph Curry and the Warriors. In terms of local ratings, they've been the most watched team in the league for 8 years. However, all good things must come to an end. The beginning of the end for the Golden State Warriors happened May 24th. That afternoon, Steve Kerr borrowed the woke shovel from Rob Manfred, or what was left of it anyway. Rob Manfred has abused that fucking thing. He has worked that woke shovel to death the last few years, burying Major League Baseball. Steve Kerr, he calls up brother Rob. Hey, Robbie, it's me, Stevie. I was sitting on Adam's lap earlier, and he told me to give you a call. He says you are brilliant at tanking television ratings. We are going into the NBA Finals next week. Can you give me some advice on how we can guarantee that no one will watch us? Why, yes, Stevie, I'm your biological man. I have the perfect solution for you. Use your press conferences to display your fake outrage with an emotional rant on gun control. These peasants love their guns. They will refuse to watch you. Steve Kerr followed Rob Manfred's advice. Not only did he follow the advice personally, the entire NBA followed suit. The NBA Finals has been used as a giant infomercial about the need for gun control. We have been treated to a group of people who know nothing about guns, telling us why we don't need guns. You don't need a gun for protection, you peasant. All you had to do is call the police. You defunded the police, you stupid fuck. Do you not remember that? Not to mention the fact, when someone's breaking into your house, it's a hell of a lot easier to scare them off with a gun than it is to sit around and wait for the cops to show up. You think Steve Kerr needs a gun for protection? You think Jaylen Brown needs one? No. They have hired security with guns hired to protect them around the clock. Ratings for the NBA Finals started with a whimper, 11.9 million for games 1 and 2. Going into game 3, Jaylen Brown tells the media that the players are thinking about boycotting the series to bring awareness to the need for stricter gun laws. Dear NBA fan, basketball's not important. The NBA Finals aren't important. Taking away your Second Amendment rights, that's important. This message has been approved by Jaylen Brown, who aspires to represent the 4th District of Boston in the woke Congress. The casual NBA fan listened. Game 3 came in 11.5 million. Now, historically, we tend to see a ratings bump from Game 3 to Game 4, especially if the series is competitive. 2012, 2013, there was an increase of 2 million between Games 3 and 4. Last year, an increase of 1.25 million. The preliminary ratings for Game 4 Friday night were released late yesterday afternoon. Now, I wanted to wait until today. I was hoping the final ratings would be released by now. They're usually released by this point, but with this being the weekend, I don't think they're going to release them until tomorrow morning. Preliminary ratings, they only include home viewership. That's what we used to call the final ratings. A couple of years ago, the NBA started including out-of-home viewership. They started using this metric to increase their shitty numbers. Preliminary ratings, Game 4, Friday night. 7.95 million people. Less than 8 million? And what could have been the most consequential game of this series, you draw less than 8 million? Golden State loses that game Friday night, the series is over. Game 4 was the most important game of the series to this point, and you draw less than 8 million? With out-of-home viewership included, my guess is the final number is going to come in around 10.5, 11 million, but that doesn't even matter at this point. We might as well consider that a fake number. This could not be going any worse for the NBA. That is a drop of over 2 million viewers from Game 4 last year and their shitty ratings. Here's the thing. Who was going to save the NBA? What is their backup plan? When Magic and Bird were nearing retirement, the backup plan was Michael Jordan. When Jordan was nearing retirement, they had a young Kobe Bryant. They had Allen Iverson, who should have been a bigger star than he was. When Kobe was aging, they had a young LeBron James. When LeBron traded in his crown for his woke rainbow jersey, the thinking was, at least we have the Warriors. Golden State was plagued by injuries the last 2 years. This season was supposed to be their comeback tour. The NBA had eliminated the woke politics. The Warriors, they were supposed to step in and revitalize the league. And for most of the playoffs, they have. But now, instead of revitalizing the league, Steve Kerr took the woke shovel and beat the casual fan over the head with it. I'll ask you again. Who's going to save the NBA? Who do they have left? Can't depend on Zion Williamson. The fucker stays hurt too much. Who knows if Luka Doncic will ever cross over into the mainstream? Same goes with Ja Morant. The Knicks are a dump. Who saves them? I mean, this fucking league has once again managed to completely alienate the casual fan. What player with superstar potential is going to be able to save it? Looking at the landscape of the NBA right now, there ain't one. Well, let me know what you think. Is the NBA in trouble? Ratings for the finals, they continue decreasing every game instead of going up. Do you think the relentless promotion of gun control is the reason? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.